Now when you have finished your presentation, now you're wondering how to close the presentation. Let me give you some tips how to close presentation. When you have finished explaining your ideas to your audiences, you then want to close your presentation. Now, do you know how to close presentation? Well, here let me give you some tips to close the presentation or to do closing. First, in your closing, you want to summarize the key point. And then you close the presentation. And then don't forget to thank the audience. And then invite the audience to ask the question. For your closing, you may include a CTA. Why is CTA? CTA is call for action. For example, after the presentation, please visit our website to download our free guide and begin applying our tips right away. And then, now, it's time to engage with your team. Ask them how they can contribute to achieve these objectives. And then, select us as your partner and we will assist you in boosting your turnover by 10%. For your closing, you can use rhetorical question. Now, what is a rhetorical question? Well, rhetorical question is a question asked in order to create a dramatic effect or to make a point rather than an answer. So you want to make a point, not getting an answer. For example, before we leave this room today, I'd like to ask, how can we all play a part in achieving this ambitious plan to become carbon neutral by the end of the decade? Do we want to sit back and watch our competitors outshine us? Are we content being second best? After everything you've heard today, I want you to ponder this question. Are you truly doing enough to ensure a high level of job satisfaction among our staff? For your closing, you may use what we call come full circle. What is a come full circle? Well, come full circle is you may come back to the point where you began. For example, let's go back to the question I asked at the beginning of my presentation. How can we increase productivity among our employees? Well, here are three main things we need to focus on. And then example number 2, I'd like to bring you back to the question I asked at the beginning. Why is this the right time to expand the business? Well, the answer is quite simple. This is the right time because. So another way to do come full circle strategy in your closing is by starting the story right at the beginning of your presentation and finish it at the end of the presentation. For example, so whatever happened to that young, ambitious software developer I told you about at the beginning? Well, today he's running his own successful IT company and is one of the most admired leaders in the sector. Or example number 2, remember the story about, and then how did Paul's story end? Well, I bet you're wondering what happened to, well, finally you might also do the closing by finishing it with a quote by famous or well-known or expert. Well, make sure the quote you choose is relevant to the point you're trying to get across. For example, and before we go, I'd like to leave you with a fantastic or brilliant or memorable, you can choose one of the adjectives, quote from, or, and finally, I'd like to share this great or famous or interesting quote from, or as a name of the person that you quoted once said. And then after quoting, you may end or close the whole presentation with, and that brings me to the end of my talk. Or, so that covers everything I wanted to talk about today. Well, now that we have learned about closing presentation, I hope that you can practice on your own and make your own closing presentation and even make a whole presentation using English by by learning from videos from opening, and then we have made the signaling also and closing. So, well, good luck.